Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am so glad that you are all here. Welcome to A Drink with Live, brought to you by Think Protein Bars. And I just caught a glimpse of all of you, but I have to say this is a record-breaking show for us. I think we have the most audience members we've ever had to date in our just 2 short months of doing this. So cheers to that, everybody. Raise your glass. Thank you for being here. You're in for a treat. And then I also just want to mention this another first. I'm coming to you, if you can tell, from literally kind of the middle of nowhere in a very remote place in British Columbia. So I'm in Canada, kind of in the middle of paradise. So thank goodness for internet, because we're lucky that I have it. I'm Catt, by the way. I am your host. I should mention that. I know why you guys are here, because tonight's guest is just magic. He is a meditator, a writer, a speaker, a change maker, a force of nature. I am so excited to bring Yung Pueblo to the stage, aka Diego Perez. Hello, Diego.
Hey, Kat. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I am just so happy to see your face because, we are all such fans of yours, and we read your words, and, we consume you, like all of your offerings, but it's nice to put a face with all of the poetry and the beauty that you share. So cheers. I think you might be drinking water like me tonight. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. A little bit of water for sure.
Where are you in the world, by the way? Where are you coming to us
Right,
from?
right now, I'm in Massachusetts, in Western Mass, about 2.5 hours north of New York City.
Okay, well, very cool. Well, I hope you'd had a beautiful day so far, but I would love to just
Mhm.
start with, and of course, I've read a little bit about this, but just your pen name, Yung
Yeah,
Pueblo.
yeah.
Where does it come from? For people who might not know, how did you decide on that?
Yeah, so that name really, the name came to me first, but then over time it developed a lot of meaning, and I realized that a lot of the work that I wanted to put together, all this writing about self-awareness and about really knowing that healing is possible, I realized that it was critical for this leap forward that humanity was making, especially during this century, because we're really young, but we have a lot of maturing to do. And when it dawned on me that, we're all incredibly young, it felt right to put all of this work that I was doing under this name, Yung Pueblo, because it's not really about me, but it's really a little bit about the journey that we're all on.
Mm, I love that. I know my 16-year-old son, I said, I'm talking to Yung Pueblo tonight. And he said, is he a rapper? I said, no, he's not a rapper. Not that I know of. But I mean, of course, everything you just mentioned, so much of what you write about and share is about self-healing and all of the growth and the different journeys we are all on. And let me just tell you personally just how much comfort your words have brought even me, and just gotten me through some really, really difficult times in my life.
Mm.
So gratitude, firstly, but for you, even, you've had struggles like most of us. You
Yep.
had some much more difficult times, and you battled addiction with drugs and alcohol,
Mhm.
and you suffered from depression and anxiety. So what was it then that kind of helped you dig out from that?
I mean, one, it was the push from hitting rock bottom. Honestly, when I hit the bottom, there was nowhere else to go. And I really almost lost my life by just continuing on this path of really bad habits that were leading me to nowhere. But once, one particular night when I felt like I almost lost my life, I knew that what brought me to that point was just lying to myself, was just all of this
Mm,
dishonesty. I never wanted to own up to the fact that I didn't feel good. So, what really pulled me out of that was practicing a version of radical honesty where it was just focused on me and myself. And
mm.
whenever I would feel bad, I just owned it. And I was like, okay, I don't feel good. And now let me sit with that and feel what that's like. And this is even before I started meditating. But I think honesty really
Interesting.
changed the game for me.
Whoa. Do you think most people need to be on the edge of that rock bottom to start their healing journey, or what advice would you give them, for the people that are just
Mhm,
stuck,
mhm.
or to your point, lying to themselves. You know, that self-betrayal is very real for a lot of us. Um, any advice there?
Yeah, I really don't think that you have to hit rock bottom. I think for most of us, if we're being honest with ourselves, we can realize that we could be a little happier, we could treat ourselves better, we can accept ourselves a little bit more, we could be more patient with ourselves and other people. So there are all these different little areas where we can grow. And I think when you realize that a lot of the dissatisfaction in life is you causing that to yourself, that creates this
Mm-hmm.
whole opportunity, this world where you can start accessing deeper parts of yourself so that the best parts of you can really come forward.
Mm. I definitely want to dig into that even a little bit deeper, but I want to get started or learn more about the writing piece for you because after you
Sure. Sure.
started to evolve and grow and transform and heal really, then the writing became this extension of yourself and
Yep.
that's what you're sharing with all of us now. So how did the writing piece become what it is?
It's interesting, because I never thought that I was going to be a writer. I really thought that I was going to either spend a lot of time in the actively being part of the social justice world, or possibly going into some form of finance. Because I grew up in a lot of poverty, so I knew that I had to, provide for my family in some way or another. But when I started meditating, I realized that there was a much deeper aspiration, an aspiration that was underneath all the things that society had taught me. And when I started healing myself and removing those patterns and removing that heavy conditioning, I was connecting with the fact that I wanted to write. And I was shocked by the idea that healing was even possible. So I realized, I should write about this. And even though I don't have all the answers, I'm not fully healed or anything like that, that there's a lot to share here. So hopefully it'll inspire other people on their own journeys.
Is anyone ever fully healed? Is that a thing? I don't know.
I think so. I think so. I think it's just a long journey, so it's hard to see the end. And oftentimes,
Mm,
the healing journey will actually, if you really go deep, it'll connect you with the liberation journey, and which is a much deeper, when you're trying to connect with the deepest truths that the universe has to offer. Yeah,
yeah.
but it's long,
Speaking
and it's just
of,
unique to each of us. Yeah.
yes. Well, your first book is aptly titled Inward. And your second book, Clarity and Connection, is out now. New York Times bestseller, by the way, everyone. Um, do you have a title for your third book, or have you decided where you're going to go next?
It's funny. I'm figuring out the title of my third book now, but I do have a title for my fourth one that I'm also working on. So the third one, it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same type of, short pieces, and it's not going to be as light. It's going to be a bigger nonfiction book that really has all the nitty gritty stuff about personal healing.
Whoa,
Mhm.
can't wait for that. How long do we have to wait for that? Years? Years in the making?
No, no, I'm working on it. I'm almost done with it, and it'll be out sometime next year. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Speaking of your writing process, I'm just so interested. I'm sure, or maybe it's not different for your books versus what you share on Instagram. And I know that, they kind of bleed into one another.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
what is your writing process like? Is there a formula to what you do? Is it just anytime, any place? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, it's a mixture. Oftentimes, the writing process is really spontaneous, and it's just inspiration that arrives out of nowhere, either through, I'll just be walking and moving, and then boom, some words will come, or I'll have a conversation, and then a few things will click, and I'll just, pull my phone out or pull out a piece of paper and write things down. And other times, I do have to give myself like a slight push to just get it going, but I try to really relax before I write so that I don't put a lot of tension into the work that I'm creating.
Mm. And your Instagram, do you run that? Do you post that? Do you have
Yeah,
help? Do you have a team with that? Or are you very hands-on?
I'm very hands-on. Yeah, every morning, like I post somewhere between like 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. EST, and I try to just kind of figure out what the mood is for that day, and really like where am I at in each day,
Mm.
and I'll either post something that that is in one of my books, or something that I wrote a few months ago or something new that I just created that morning or the day before. But it's really completely organic. There's no one else running it besides me.
I love that. I love that. I mean, Instagram, your, 1.4 million followers. Does that blow your mind that, it's kind of like build it and they will come, and the people have come, like they are coming, and
Mhm.
they have such an appetite for your wisdom and your words. How does that sit with you? I mean, how do you make sense of that? And,
Yeah, it's a little mind-boggling. It's hard to conceive of such big numbers, but I also think that it's a little bit of right place, right time. Like I feel like
yeah.
my own healing journey has connected with the fact that for millions of people around the world, being miserable is going out of style. Like people don't want to be
Oh,
miserable
yeah.
anymore. So they're
Oh,
trying to find different avenues, whether it's through meditating, whether it's through seeing a therapist or journaling, but they're all delving into introspective methods so they can know themselves. Because like, look, like money can help you in a lot of different ways, but it's not going to make you happy. Or finding a great partner can be so much support, but they themselves are not going to make you happy. So at the end of the day, it's you and yourself, and you figuring out that relationship and building harmony within that relationship between you and yourself. That's the only way that you're going to be able to bring harmony into your life, into everything else that you're doing, and it's going to really help you shine. But it's between you and yourself. That's what it is.
mm. Being miserable is going out of style. I love that one. Is that a post? Has that been a post? Maybe that should be a
No,
post.
no, that
No.
hasn't been a post, but but friends and I, we've joked about that because it really feels like that's what's happening. Like we realize that, this is a different time, so we're gonna figure this one out.
And speaking of social media, I just want to bring in the audience real quickly mid conversation here, because I know that, your passages, guys, how many of you have actually screen grabbed one of Diego's Young Pueblo's passages? How often do you like go back and read it? See, I knew. I have a friend here at this cabin I'm staying at with, who says that she uses your inward book for grace each night, and people pass
Mm.
it around the table as part of their dinner ritual, which I just love so much. And also the Instagram posts. But I noticed that even people like Jennifer Aniston and Glennon Doyle and Ava DuVernay and Reese Witherspoon are following you also. Do you pay much attention to that at all? Or because you seem, you're such a spiritual person, I would imagine that doesn't really affect you too much.
I mean, I often end up finding out, like, I didn't know about Ava DuVernay. Like, I had no idea. But I find out like through friends oftentimes, and it's nice. It's great that it's connecting with different people. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's like it's all about impact. It's like what you said
Yeah.
earlier. You often don't see my face. Like I do interviews and whatnot, but I created the Young Pueblo name and wanted to bind it around this idea of all of us growing collectively, so that I can kind of just hide in the background. So to me, it's
Yeah.
fantastic that it's all growing, but at the same time, I try to keep my distance because it's a lot, and I like living a quiet life.
Yeah. Meditation is such a part of your life that even it's the first hyphenate that shows up on your Instagram and on your Twitter, meditator. So, what
Hmm.
has meditation meant to you? And tell us a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, so I mean, meditation has been everything. I mean, it has not only introduced me to myself, but it's helped me understand the underlying laws that sort of move this universe forward, particularly the law of impermanence. That everything arises, eventually passes away. It sounds so
Mhm.
simple, but it's such an important idea that we're often fighting. We're constantly fighting the reality of impermanence, and a lot of our misery is due to the fact that we're fighting impermanence. And when we're able to embrace the reality of change, it opens us up to a world of happiness and also to a world of presence, to being able to really connect with whatever is happening in front of us. But the practice that
Mhm.
I do, it's called Vipassana. It's taught by Essen Goenka, a person who has since passed away, but there are meditation centers around the world who are teaching the same technique, that originated from Burma, and it has its roots in the Buddhist teaching, but it's a simple technique that, where you spend 10 days at a meditation course and they teach you how to meditate. It's not a light form of meditation, it's very serious. And it's a totally silent retreat. And they teach you how to concentrate your mind for 3 days. And then after that, for 7 days, you focus on purifying the mind by observing what's happening in the body. But it's a technique that, I started practicing back in 2012, but it's just radically, radically changed my life in ways that I did not foresee.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And how long do you do it? You do it every day, but for how is it the same amount of time each day?
Yeah, so on a daily basis, I do an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening. So, when I wake up and then before I go to bed, I'll do it. So 2 hours a day. And then a few times a year, I'll go away to courses. And like the big one that I have coming up is a 45-day course in January, which I'm pretty excited
Mm,
about. So I'll be like totally
wow.
offline and all of that. So that'll be great.
Mm, awesome. One of your favorite passages, or do you call it a passage when you post on Instagram, or what do you call that? I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
refer to it correctly.
Yeah, they're passages, pieces. Some of them are poems, some of them
Okay.
are quotes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites is wanting always interrupts being. And in the world in which we live, and, I've obviously worked in Hollywood, we have people from all over the world in our audience from different places. But I mean, it's such human nature to seek or to want or to look outward, right? But I love that what you're saying there, I believe, is like we lose the present, we lose the being, right? I mean, forget my interpretation. What does it mean?
I love that you connect with that quote because I think it's one of the most like I'm grateful that I wrote that one because it's so important to what I've understood from my own practice. And I've shared it online a few times, but it's not the most popular one. So, but luckily, it's in the first book. But I love that you connect with that one because it's critical. It happens on a daily basis. We're constantly craving, and we
Yeah.
don't realize how much we lose to this constant loop of wanting more. And the moment that you get caught up in the imagination of wanting more, you're no longer with what's happening right in front of you. And there could be the most beautiful things happening in front of you, and you're totally gone and inside of your imagination. But wanting,
Mm,
it's fine to have desires, it's fine to have goals, but be careful with the edge of craving because when you fall into craving, you're automatically going to fall into tension and you're going to be creating so much misery for yourself and your mind.
yeah. What is your most popular post or your most liked post or your most shared post? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, there's one. It's one about a healthy relationship. It's something along the lines of a healthy
Oh.
relationship is being able to take turns supporting each other when you're going through turbulent moments. Something along
Mm,
those lines. And I think that one really connected with people because in a relationship you're not always going to feel great. You're not always going to be 100%. And when both people can own that fact, they can be there for each other when those moments arise, especially when you have two people who are dedicated to healing themselves. There are going to be times where your energy needs to be focused internally because you're processing some serious trauma or some heavy emotional history that will need your attention. But if your partner recognizes that you're going through one of those periods, they can just support you and help, ease you through that gently. And taking turns in that is just that's one of the most beautiful things that we can offer to each other.
yeah, I love that. In today's world, I mean, hey, we're living through a pandemic
Right.
that is not going away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
With the political divide in the world, there's a helicopter over me out here in the middle of the woods at the moment. But oh, it's a seaplane. We got a seaplane. Hopefully you can still hear me. Um, but no, seriously, about the divide in the world and the political issues, the racial injustices, everything's going on that is very heavy. It's very
Yeah.
hard. And, especially for those of us who feel very deeply, like you can really end up internalizing so much of this and what's going on. So it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think there's a balance, like at one point, like we live in a century that is full of immense challenges. Like we live in a
Mhm.
time, it's a historic time that will be looked upon where it's like, okay, what does humanity decide to do with climate change, with racism, with
Yeah.
patriarchy, with all of these huge, massive problems that we have to deal with. But at the same time, we collectively are going to be able to solve these issues. But as individuals, we need to figure out, okay, where can I help? And also, when do I need to take breaks? Because you can't
Mhm.
overwhelm yourself with all of the drama that's constantly happening on the news. You can really burn your energy out quite quickly if you're constantly reading pieces full of sorrow. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying disconnect yourself from what's happening. Like, be connected to reality, but at the same time, like, understand how much you can handle as an individual, because if you're able to like handle the right amount for yourself, you won't push yourself out of balance, and you'll actually be able to help more in the different issues that really connect with you. And I think it's a time where we're all being challenged to expand our compassion, for ourselves and for other people. So um, it's going to be a case by case situation, but I'd say, be in touch with what's happening in the world, be active, try to make a change, but at the same time, do not burn yourself out. And by taking care of yourself, you'll be able to find that proper balance.
I have one more question for you, and then I know we've got lots of people who are dying to get in here and ask you a couple more questions. So I'll just ask you one more before that, and just um, the idea of self love, and
Mm-hmm.
what is your definition of self love, and why is it so vitally important?
When I think of self love, it means doing what you need to do to heal yourself and doing what you need to do to free yourself. And like, to me, self love is not necessarily about like pampering yourself. It's not about like what you can get yourself externally. It's about what you can do for yourself internally. So it's being able to connect with what's happening within your own conditioning and understanding yourself and your patterns, and all of that internal sort of sculpture that creates you who you are. Being intimately connected with that is going to be able to bring up that challenge when you see the rough parts of yourself, and then you have no other option but to accept them. You're either going to run away from them and hate them or accept them. When you fully accept them, that's real love. And with that comes this opportunity for more of that deep conditioning to break apart, and for you to allow your like raw, loving, creative human nature to really come forward.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Well, we have Anshu, I believe, from our audience tonight. Anshu's got our first question for you, Young Pueblo. Go ahead and take it away.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to ask the question. So I just want to know, so my biggest challenge is to start meditating. How
Mm-hmm.
did you overcome that hurdle to start meditating?
It's a big hurdle. I started by just pushing myself into a situation where I was being taught what to do. So I signed up to a 10-day Vipassana course, and I had not meditated at all. I think I meditated one time for 20 minutes, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I got no real benefit from it because I had no technique. So for people who are just starting out, don't try to reinvent the wheel. There have already been people who figured out amazing techniques that you can just jump into, learn it, and then make best use of it. So if a 10-day Vipassana course feels like it's too much for you, there are other techniques out there that are 5 days or 2 days, but putting yourself in an incubator where you learn properly how to meditate, it makes it much easier to then go back home and learn what to do and keep doing what you've learned to do.
Mm, love that advice. Very, very good. We have another question from Andrew W. He is up. So get your question to Young Pueblo.
Sorry, I was unmuting. So my question is kind of around like it's diet and inputs into your body in the sense of like, are you vegan? Kind of like what are you eating, or what would you suggest like are like health foods? And then kind of like also, what's your thoughts on stimulants? So like caffeine, nicotine. I guess you could throw in the other stuff, but like more of the stuff that's casual that people do day to day, and we don't really, we're not like conscious of it. And what your thoughts are on all those?
Yeah, I mean, those are great questions because the inputs on your body are really going to affect your mind. So for a diet, there's no like one great diet, to be really honest. Like I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've been paleo. They've benefited me at different points in my life, and at different points you just know, okay, this is what my, what can support me in taking my next leap forward. And it really just depends on where you're at and also what fits your body, because it's really interesting with a particular diet benefits me really well, and then my wife needs something totally different. So it's really case by case. So there's no one answer for that. But in terms of stimulants and also intoxicants in general, I would say coffee is fine. It's like it's a fine thing. Like I drink coffee very occasionally, but I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't take any type of intoxicants because they do make your mind dense. So if you want to be a really serious meditator and go really, really deep, I would say removing the intoxicants as much as possible can help make your mind really stable and powerful.
That was a great question and a great answer. We've got Perry up next. Perry, your question? You're up, Perry.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. I just wanted to know about how you had those kind of hard talks with yourself about trying to find out what you were hiding from yourself or the hard truths.
I mean, those were some of the hardest moments. I think that period, I spent a year being honest with myself before I actually started meditating, and it was some hard love. Like I would, as soon as my mind would become tense, I would want to run away. I would want to either interact with another person, or I would want to smoke weed or just do something to get away from myself. And I remember spending a lot of time in my room in my mother's house, just like forcing myself to just sit down on the bed and just feel what I'm feeling, like to just not run away from it at all. And I had no real process. It wasn't like I was journaling or anything. It was just like, let me just feel what's real in this moment and not try to find some avenue to escape. And it was hard, but it became like a habit, like anything else. Over time, it became easier to develop that. And in the beginning, it's hard, just like any other habit.
And you touch on something just so important that I think so many people struggle with, and it is nobody wants to feel their feelings, but there's so much growth in that. And as difficult as it is, that's a good piece of advice for, people who just really have never meditated or maybe haven't done all this other interesting. Just starting with that, I think, is such a nice way to grow or expand, I guess. Just feel the feelings, right? That's I love what you said there.
I couldn't agree more. That's like literally it's a life-changing thing that you can do for yourself.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more question, and I hope I'm saying your name right, but Banesha, are you there?
Yes, that's my name, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes. Hi, Diego. So my question is, when you decided to take the light of your work to the world, how did you go about doing it? Did you have a plan, a vision? Because we talk a lot about having goals in life, like where do you see yourself in 6 months, or how did that go for you? Like, was there like a vision, a plan?
I think there definitely was a plan, and I was hoping and it's still the same plan. My plan is hopefully I make something useful. With every book that I've written, with every piece, I hope that people can see themselves in it. And if I make something that's useful, that, even something that I myself would use, other people may use it. And if they find it worth their time, they'll keep coming back to it. So that's always been my goal. It's not like like how many books I should sell or how many followers. It's just like, can I make something useful, and is this going to be worth other people's time?
One last question, I promise. The last question of the evening is from Brandon. Right. Brandon, you're up.
Hey,
Okay, sorry, it took me forever to unmute. I liked your quote about wanting, and I just wondered like how you go about differentiating like manifesting and goal setting and like in a meditation space and like transition to reception mode. Because like I know like when I meditate, I'm just like, okay, I have all these goals and aspirations, I'm gonna focus on that. But how do you press pause on that and just like trust like that's enough and just clear your mind and meditate?
that's interesting. That's a great question. Personally, when I meditate, the technique that I do, it's a lot of it is just focused on impermanence. Like we're really just studying the impermanent nature of the body and of the mind. You're kind of just, feeling what's happening. So I try not to spend a lot of time thinking my thoughts. I'm not like in my head wondering what I want and what I want to do. I'm just observing what's happening, or trying my best to observe. But the separation between goals and like cravings or things that you want too much, where it just creates tension in your mind. That's really important because even with meditating, like you could have really valuable goals of like, okay, I do want to build my awareness and make it stronger. I do want to become more equanimous so that I can see things more objectively. But being able to move forward with those goals in a calm manner that's slightly detached so that you can, put energy forward to it, but you're not necessarily super attached to the goals. It makes a big difference because a lot of the tension that we create when we have goals, it actually pushes the thing that we want away. So if you're able to work peacefully,
Mm.
you'll be much more productive.
I love that answer. I love that Brandon was like in bed, laying like just super comfortable. That's why
Yeah,
I love
super
this
relaxed. I love that.
community and this whole experience. He's chilling. He's chilling. He's so cool. And I don't want to say goodbye, but thank you so much, Young Pueblo, for your time and your contributions to the world and to our planet and just the energy that you give to all of us. Please, please keep it coming. We are following.
Thank you so much too, Kat. It's really an honor to spend this time with you. Thank you.
Oh, likewise. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for being an awesome audience
Thank
and
you
for
so
giving
much.
of your time as well. Everybody go to adrinkwith.com to watch this show and all the other ones that we've done. And again, a huge thanks to our sponsor, Think Protein Bars. Lots of love, everyone. Lots of love, Diego, everyone. See you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.